Welcome back to another Godzilla Kong the New Empire Playmates review. Today we'll be looking at the second Battle Roar figure that they have made for this movie. Now, just 2 days ago, I had put out a review, which is Battle Roar Godzilla. Needless to say, it was a very good Godzilla figure. I'm just gonna go ahead and spoil that video right now. I'm just gonna say I was very happy with it. It fixed a lot of the issues that I had with the other Godzilla figures that they have made for this movie. And so, I hope something similar will happen here with this Battle Roar Kong. This is the second Battle Roar Kong that they have made. The first one being, of course, from Godzilla vs. Kong back in 2021. And a majority of us can all agree it wasn't their best Kong figure. With the new one, I significantly hope that it will be a major step up. So why don't we get started, shall we? This is, of course, Battle Roar Kong, the 2024 version, also 7 inches. Here is the official renders for Kong and Godzilla, and the instructions of what batteries you may need in case your Kong figure runs out of batteries, then you know which types you need. Monster battle sounds, and here is the other names and the other logos and all that, and most importantly, they've got a little try me sticker right here. That is really good because with this open package concept, it works very well with these figures in particular. Now the great thing about these figures is you get to see them straight up what they are. They're not covered up by the packaging. You just see them right away. You know what they're gonna get, and that is how you can determine, and when you're in the store and you come across these things, if you want to buy them or not. I'm a big supporter for these open packaging concepts, and the great thing about this one is that with these electronic figures, you get to test them out. They encourage you to. Here is the side of it, and here is the other side of it, and then here is the bottom. No instructions, none of that, just your standard manufacturer stuff. And here is the back. Now this is where things get interesting. The demo button is here through this big hole. You see monster battle sounds, and you can try it through here. Now for Godzilla's case, obviously it was at the front just because of the shape of him. They have carved out a hole in the package for you to actually push the button and test it out. Before we do that though, let's look at the other things in the back. So as you can see, this is showing off all 3 Battle Roar figures. Kong, Godzilla, Skarking. Maybe we'll get more in the future, we'll see, but they have all 3 of them at the back here so you know what the complete list is. And of course, this is the button. That's what you're gonna get. And then of course, let's see what it looks like from the front. And I'm pushing it from the back. You do that, and then you get an idea of, oh, he sounds pretty sick. I might want him. Or, nah, he doesn't sound good. I'm not going to buy this, and you put it back. You know, it gives you that option for you to test it out, and then you make your decision, that's for sure. But let's see what the entire figure will be like once he's out of the box, so we can see the articulation and all that. So let's do that and unbox this figure. Let's get right to it. And of course, before I put the figure away, they do include this little sheet to tell you how to change your batteries just in case the batteries die, which is of course something that is not impossible. It will happen eventually, and when it does, this is how you can repair it. And they also show you some instructions on how the Battle Roar exactly works in case you really don't understand. But it's nothing too exciting. But I figured just to show you anyways, just in case you're really curious on everything included in this figure. It's just really just the figure. So, speaking of the figure, let's take a look at it. All right, right off the get-go, let's just answer this question. Is this figure a significant improvement from the 2021 Battle Roar Kong? Absolutely, without a question of a doubt. Absolutely. Look at the comparison between these two. There is a huge difference, not just in color, but they have fixed the cartoon goofy looking face. Yes. Yes, Playmates, you've redeemed yourself with this figure. This is a Battle Roar Kong that we all want to get. This is what Kong would look like if he was a you know, an electronic figure. As you can see, it's both like in him in the motion of pounding his chest. But the contrast is just, it's absolutely clear as daylight that they have remodeled a completely new mold for this. The articulation is pretty much the same for both figures, I'll say that right away, and you know, the button for the roar is at the back as well. And I don't know, it's just like this one, if the face wasn't so goofy looking, maybe this would have been a lot better. Just like, look at that face, just look at him. But it just looks like he's just some old grumpy looking monkey. Like, he actually looks like a toy monkey. Like the one from Toy Story, like the one with the symbols. I remember I was very scared of that monkey when I watched that movie as a kid. It's very cartoony and it just doesn't look like King Kong at all. This, look at his face. It's not super goofy, it's way more realistic, and the color is a lot better too. I don't like this brown color they got going on with the old one. This is a lot better. You know, this really reminds me of the regular Kong. You know, Kong has a pretty standard color now. He was brown at some point in his fur, but from the footage we've seen in the second trailer, a lot of it is like, you can see his fur is either gray, and then at other scenes he's brown. Like, I guess his fur color is reflecting off the environment he's in. But this figure in particular, it feels like an enlarged version of the 6-inch figure, and that is very, very good. So here is the original 6-inch Kong from Godzilla vs. Kong. This is from the older line of figures, and the colors look more like it. They kind of match a lot better, and this actually looks like a more enlarged version of this very Kong. Definitely this Battle Royale Kong has better colors for sure, better integration of colors, might I be more specific. But the limitations do come. Obviously the articulation isn't as much with this Battle Roar figure, and it's the same articulation as the old one, that's for sure. I think the roar is also different. So, before we do any more comparing, let's get right into the articulation overall. So, first bits, of course, you have the legs. Now, the legs can only move like this. It's kind of stuck on a specific angle, so you can only move the legs like this front and back. The thing is, you can move it all the way around. Like, you can twist it all the way around, and it's the same thing going on with this leg here. It's the same articulation as the old one. Can you swivel the feet? No, I honestly thought at first I could, because the old one I can. But either this one is super locked and you can actually swivel it, or you can't swivel it at all. See, the old one here, you can swivel the feet, right? But I'm not so sure of the new one's case here. Like, I'm trying, but it's actually, I think it's locked. I don't think I can, and I don't want to break the figure, so I don't think I can, which is unfortunate. So that's one articulation gone. Obviously, you have the arms. The position of his arms is locked in one position, so I can't change that. So for his right arm, it's stuck, you know, pounding his chest, but you can move it up, you know, make it look like he's scratching his head. Just do that. There you go. He's scratching his head. He can switch the other way, but obviously it stops there. His hand kind of stops at his back. I mean, this looks like he's scratching his back, or scratching his butt, really. You can rotate his hands here. You can rotate his wrists. So there's that. There's good wrists. Also, you will notice this is just regular Kong. No beast glove. He does not have a beast glove here. This is Kong as himself. And then you have this arm that can also move up and down. So now this one has the space because it's not blocking by his torso, so you can move it all the way around. Obviously in the packaging, they have his arm all the way up like this. So there's that. And of course, with this hand, or wrist, you can, you know, twist it all the way around as well. So there is not a lot of articulation compared to the other Kongs, but mainly because of the electronic element of this figure, they had to limit some of the articulation, and so that's why you cannot move the head at all, because that's where all the wiring and the electronic component is going into. And of course, the face is also soft plastic, just like the original one, except this time it looks more like Kong using the soft plastic. Now the soft plastic is there to help the muscles move. So when you press the button and he does the battle roar, his mouth isn't like stiff. You know, he actually looks like, it looks more expressive, and it looks like he's letting out that roar much, much better. And it's special in this case because of Kong. Godzilla does not have that. But I believe Scar King has that too, because of course they're the same species. And you also see this is where the speaker is for where the battle roar comes out. You can see scratch marks on his chest. You know, he still has those scratch marks from his fight of Godzilla in Hong Kong. You know, that's just there. It's just a good attention to detail. Now, the overall texture, this feels more furry. I know it's hard plastic, but it definitely feels more like he's got fur going on. It looks way more realistic because the old one is too smooth. It doesn't feel like there's fur on it, and it just, you know, another part why this one doesn't feel like a realistic looking Kong. Here, they were able to fix that as well. You know, when you look at the textures on this figure up close, you can really see, obviously you can't feel it. If you also own this figure, just take a closer look at the fur. Like you can see, even though with hard plastic, they're able to highlight the texture really, really well. Even at the awkward bits here, we can see where the screws are and where the battery pack is. Like, it's still somewhat hidden in a way, but the texture just stands out. It doesn't look awkward in any spots, and that's good. And it blends well with the rubber bits on his face. Despite the lack of articulation, there is somewhat still playability for this Kong. I feel like the articulation is more flexible with the Battle War Godzilla, and it's more limited here for Kong. But I think this is one of those where you just put it up on display. It's all about the poses he's in. And of course, the Battle Roar feature is like the main play feature of this Kong. So, obviously you heard the battle already, but we're gonna, of course, try it out again with the figure out of this packaging. And of course, now you can see a closer detailed look at his facial expression when I do the battle roar. So, let's hear it. Notices how his face kind of clenches up when I push the button? That gives somewhat of a realistic look. It really looks like he's in the action of roaring. And I think that is definitely a big plus. That makes that realistic expression. And because his face is not goofy, like this one, you know, it somewhat looks more like Kong is actually roaring, not some cartoon looking monkey roaring. So that is good. Now here is the other roar. Not really a roar, more just like grunts and stuff. Subtle sounds, not super battle aggressive, but the button being back here makes sense. And I said the same thing about Godzilla. The way the button is placed is very camouflagey because you still have the textures going on, it's the same colors, but then the button does stand on the way that, oh yeah, you'll notice that the button is there. You won't struggle finding it, but it doesn't pop out awkwardly like a lot of action figures have this weird button that just is attached to them that says, press here for the features. This is a pretty solid Kong. Now, this is of course 7 inches. This is of course bigger than the Kong, the regular Kong from this line. And the biggest difference being, of course, this is Kong, no Beast Glove, and the regular 6-inch one does have the Beast Glove. So you want a Kong with the Beast Glove, then the Battle Roar one is not the one to look for. I will say, I can notice a bit of a difference going on here. Obviously, it's a different mold, but it just also looks like Kong is a bit different with the face in particular. For the regular one, you can see Kong is already roaring all that, but even you take out the roaring part, the face looks a bit different. And I would say the Battle Roar one here looks a little bit more realistic. It looks more like Kong. Is this Battle Roar Kong worth the money? I paid 30 Canadian dollars for it alongside Scar King and Godzilla. So I paid what I would say is considered regular retail price, but it depends on the store you run into, the store that you get your figures from. I actually think this is a very well-detailed Kong. It's the most realistic looking Kong, and it has joined the same thing as Godzilla. So, back to my question, is it worth it? Now, for Godzilla, I said $30, yes. Kong's case, I would say maybe not, because you don't get a lot. You just get minimal articulation, no accessories, so you don't even get the battle axe. You don't get the glove or the battle axe, so it's just Kong himself. I would say if I paid $20 for it, it'll be more acceptable. Both of these figures have significantly made the Battle Roar figures look so much better compared to the 2021 Kong and Godzilla. This has completely renewed itself from this garbage. Out of 10, what would I give it? I would say 8 out of 10 for sure. I feel the articulation could have some options, maybe on this arm. Give it a little more articulation, I definitely think would be a much better figure. And of course, why would you not include the Beast Glove? You can mold it into the figure, it is part of the figure. So I wouldn't say it's a bad thing if you did the Beast Glove. That's all I gotta say about this Battle Roar Kong, 7 inches of course. If you want to check out the Godzilla, of course, you can go back a couple videos, literally like 2 days ago, so it's not too far behind. And then of course, we have one more Battle Roar figure to look at after this, and that is Scar King. And so we're gonna get into that in the next few days. As for now, thanks for watching this review. If you enjoy, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more. Check out the other MonsterVerse reviews I've done in the playlist in the description, and specifically for this movie, you can check that out as well. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.